Kaleigh.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your break. Hi. So this poem, we're gonna get Jason up here in just a minute. I'm gonna introduce him with a poem myself because I can do that.
Yeah.
Woo!
I like
So, huh? Yay. Yes. I like your poems. So I'm really excited. So this piece requires a little introduction. You can obviously tell me that I'm introducing my pieces since I'm still talking. But for the past 2 summers, I traveled with Rick and Laura Brown. Anybody know Rick and Laura Brown in here? Yeah. Yay, they work here. You should know them. I traveled with them to Poland, first to Gdansk, and then to Warsaw, working on a project where we created a 17th century wooden synagogue that was destroyed by German soldiers. That is now up in a new museum in Warsaw, the first museum to ever celebrate the history of Jews before the Holocaust. And the opening is in October. I'm really excited. So this poem is about some things I learned. More than half a century after, the little yellow flowers are still afraid to bloom inside the gates. They line up like a battalion of soldiers, the first row nearly touching the barbed wire. They're small enough to duck under, but of course they don't. Blackbirds swarm the sky like moths, swerving as if they were avoiding ghosts or dodging memories of clouds of smoke, and I choke in reflex, although there is nothing on the air but the thick smell of manure drifting from nearby farms. A museum of remembrance. I think it's what they want, but it looks as if it were thrown together by children. Photographs of victims and survivors backed on construction paper frames, wrinkled and yellowed from time or the sun. I pass a pile of soles, the soles of shoes large enough to fill a room, and past the scratchings on wood preserved in glass, a case enclosing bones and ash, and I need to lean against a wall and work my hardest just to breathe. But there is a little yellow flower resting on a wooden board that was once someone's bed. It has been plucked, but not brought in against its will, I hope. We left, carrying more questions with us than when we walked in. We stopped at the info desk, and the woman behind saw his pin, Dvorak Rekonstruktora, synagogue reconstruction. He began to explain the project as we all had so many times. We had that elevator speech memorized, but she cut him off as she hurried from behind the counter. "I know," she said. "I know." She said, "Thank you," and began to cry, and we did the same, "Dziękuję," thank you, hugging and crying and thanking in each other's languages. We didn't know what else to say. Back to the room that was once a synagogue, then a German supply room, then a music school, then back to a synagogue, and now our temporary studio space. And I'm painting flowers. Cool light base, then warm light base, then a wash of yellow shield and English red outlined in corner red, brush, blend, flick, repeat. There were 12,000 Jews in the city of Gdansk before the war, and this is the only synagogue that remains, with a congregation of about 15. They could barely fit our team at the tables when we joined them for Shabbat dinner, elbow to elbow, the rabbi and I sang jazz standards. Just direct your feet to the sunny side of the street. It's 1 year later and I'm back. Warsaw this time, and we're working in the museum now instead of a synagogue. Somehow the same rabbi that sang with me in Gdansk had moved to Warsaw. He didn't recognize me though, and he only sang the blessings at Shabbat dinner. The city is flat. There is one section in the middle, Muranov, covered in deep hills, steep hills covered in deep green grass with the nicest apartments you'll find, families and college students, and only minor amounts of graffiti. A friend tells me that most of the residents don't know as I watch 2 young boys run over the hills in their underwear, shooting water pistols at each other, giggling. Maybe it's better they don't know. Maybe it's better they don't know. Each night they rest their heads over mountains of resting bones and brick from when the ghetto burned. Maybe it's beautiful that life goes on. Maybe 1,000 years from now, The little yellow flowers will be the only ones that remember. Maybe they'll remember that the name of the soil they thrust their roots into is Hebrew. Poland, Poland, rest here. Maybe if they remember, they'll still be brave enough to.